So barn finds, why is everyone obsessed with them? Might have something to do with a certain show on Discovery a couple of years ago with some crazy American guy running around buying cars for half of what anyone wanted to sell them for. Woo! But do we have cool cars in barns in the UK? Or are we just buying ourselves a load of problems? We're going to take a Golf that's been in a barn for probably 5-6 years, and we're going to see what it's going to take to get it back on the road. So this could be a lot of fun, or it could be a massive headache. Either way, I hope you come along and find out with us. And here it is. This little Mark II has been off the road since 2011. So what do you get when you buy a barn find Mark II or any car that's been off the road for a while? So taking a quick look, it's covered in all sorts. Look at the state of it. It's missing side trims, indicator lenses. I mean, just take a look. It's got no rear wiper. It's just filthy. Now looking down here, you can see there's some rust in the lower rear valance. The rear panel's got a dent in it and a scratch. Then we've got a bit of rust there as well. So that's not looking great. We're going to have to sort that. There's some rust in the tailgate there as well. So again, all these things are going to have to be sorted out. And would you find these on a running and driving Mark II? Probably, because they're not actually that bad. So looking down here, it's got standard wheels. It looks like the suspension's been dropped a little bit, but nothing major. So that's quite nice. And as we look along the side of the car here, it's all quite straight. It's just filthy. So again, no indicator lens on this side. Standard wheels here. Yeah, suspension definitely looks like it's had a couple of inches taken out of it. And it looks like the local birds have used it for target practice. We've got the typical rust in the wiper blank here as well. So that's going to be a windscreen out to fix that. And hopefully it hasn't rusted all the way through. Now looking underneath, yeah, we've got that rust hole there. So it actually is a bit muddy under here, but it looks pretty straight actually. There's not too much rot in here. So the donut is usually rusty and smashed in where people have jacked up on it, but actually it's rusted next to it. So maybe they've jacked it up and it's split the metal that side of it. So we're going to have to strip that back, re-weld a new plate in there and sort that donut out as well. So not the end of the world. Again, cars fail their MOT for that all the time. So again, nothing really scary looking at this. Now, bearing in mind this Golf's been off the road for probably 3 or 4 years, it's been tucked away in a barn, so we're going to have to spend some money on it. I'm going to take a trip to GSF. I'm going to get all the parts I think we need to get this thing back on the road. Actually, it wasn't that bad. We got the whole lot for £153. We got brake discs, pads, spark plugs, leads, cam belt, water pump, oil and filters. Not bad all in all for a major service. So we've got it up in the air on axle stands. So let's take a proper look and see what we're up against. So starting with the front brake. I mean, it all just looks super crusty under here. So we're going to have to make some changes. These discs, they're not too bad, but we'll change those because they've definitely seen better days. The front pads, again, look like they've got plenty of meat on them, but we'll swap those out because, again, we don't know how long they've been on the car and they're just all super crusty. I mean, look at it. You wouldn't trust that on the road. The flexes themselves look pretty good. There's no damage, no splits, no wearing on those. They don't look like original Volkswagen ones, so the chances are they've been changed at some point. And the calipers, obviously someone decided to paint just half of them red. So the caliper itself, not the pad holder. So there's some work to do on this. And as we look at the rear brakes here, you can see much of a similar story. So the suspension is old and crusty. The discs themselves are just rusty and there's a lot of surface rust and crap all over them. The pads, again, just nasty. You wouldn't sort of trust them going down the road, would you? The calipers, again, just surface rust over everything where the car's just been sat for so long, just waiting for someone to do something with it. And of course, as we look around, there's a new brake line there. That brake flexi, again, same story as the front, looks quite recent, or not recent, let's say, not many miles old. And of course, as we look around here, it's been polybushed. So someone at some point has spent some money on this car. It's even got a polybushed exhaust rubber as well. But I guess the thing that you'll notice straight away is there's no exhaust. So that's something extra to go on the shopping list. So under the bonnet, it looks like a very crusty Mark II that's been laid up for quite some time. There's bits disconnected. We've had a big oil leak from the rocker cover gasket, which is quite normal on these, and it's just covered it in layers of grime and crap. For some reason, the heater matrix has been bypassed. That's not a good thing. That's probably why it's been sat in a barn for so long. So that'll have to be looked at later as well. But all in all, it's kind of what you'd expect. It's nothing special, and it's going to need some work. And finally, inside the car is just full of rubbish. There's some random car parts in here. So someone's tried to have a go and just given up. So looking at the dash, it's all there. It's just still filthy like the rest of the car. Mileage wise is 165,000 miles. So that's not too bad, I guess. And we've still got a Panasonic cassette player. I mean, that may be original, or it was certainly an upgrade back in the late 80s. So now you've seen around the car, we're going to try and fire it up. But before we do that, let's just make sure everything's okay to make sure we don't do any damage. Okay, so looking at the cam belt, it's a little bit on the slack side. There's a bit of play in this. So because of that, I'm not going to try and start the car. I'm going to do the cam belt first and make sure that it's safe and we're not going to do any damage when we try and fire it up. There it goes. So as we thought, that is an absolute pig, and we've got 3 of those bolts are rounded off, so we're going to have to get some replacements for that. And as we're starting to work in this area, it started to drip coolant from the car, so it looks like it's coming from the water pump. Good job we're doing a change on that water pump, because otherwise that would have given us problems further down the road. So with the cam belt on and the timing done, let's try and fire it up. So the timing's right and we've got a spark, but the engine's still not starting. So as it's a GTI, there's 2 fuel pumps on this thing. So we're going to check to see if both those pumps are working to get fuel to the engine. So using a probe, we're going to try and get some power to the in-tank lift pump and see if that fires. Yep, the in-tank pump looks okay. Now let's check the one under the car. Yep, definitely can't hear the under-car fuel pump running. So we've changed the pump under the car for a replacement, and now let's see if we can get it started. Still nothing. So it's still not running. So we're just going to check the replacement pump and make sure that's okay and we haven't fitted a dud. How's the fuel pump going? So this car has been sat for years, so it could just be that the fuel is old and stale. So we're going to drain the tank using a piece of hard plastic fuel line from a Mark III GTi, and we're going to power the fuel pump until it's drained. Go for it. So it runs. So we've changed the cam belt, the water pump, we've done the plugs, the leads, and it's actually running. So there's still some more service bits to do, and I think you'll agree we're a long way off before we even think about putting it in for an MOT. So with that in mind, we've got some welding to do, we've got a heater matrix to do, plus fitting an exhaust and a load of other bits. So clearly we're not going to get that done today because basically the car has been sat for so long, we want to make sure it's okay. So sadly, we're not going to get that done all in one day, and there's still a lot of work to do. Drop a comment down below. Let us know if you found a car in a barn that you've started to bring back to life as well. So remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Press the bell to be notified next time we upload the next installment of this barn find Mark II restoration. I hope you enjoyed the video as much as we did working on the car, and I'll see you on the next one.